Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. The Honorable Ibu Dr. Agis Andriani, SPDM Hum, and all my beloved friends. We are from Group 5, and today we will discuss and present about discourse study in qualitative research. But before we dive into the topic, we should know about what is discourse study. Discourse study is a part of qualitative research. So, qualitative research is research that explore how people experience and make sense of the world. It focuses on meaning and interpretation in real life situation rather than just numbers of measurement. And one common method in qualitative research is discourse analysis. Discourse analysis look at how language, spoken or written, is used to create social perspective and cultural identities. And this method is really important because it can reveal the deeper meanings in everyday interaction, text, and stories, and they show how language influences thought, behavior, and social structure, linking communication with society. And this report aims to uh, explain discourse analysis as a qualitative method, and it presents its background, methodology, strength, and weakness, an example of its use in research. And for the next point is about literature review will be explained by Nedi. For Nedi, please.
All right, thank you, Anissa. For the next is a literature review. Let's go to the number one first. Is Discord as social practice. According to Tennant, Hamilton, and Scriff in 2015, Discord is best understood as both language and social practice. It goes beyond words on a page or sentences in conversation. Discord organizes social life, negotiate these identities, and reproduce or challenge cultural values. This means when we analyze discourse, we look at how people use language to do things in the world, from managing relationship to exercising power. And for the number two is interactional approaches. Gumper's 2015 highlights the concept of contextualization, where subtle cues like intonation, code switching, or pacing guide how listeners interpret meaning. These cues often explain why miscommunication occurs across cultural groups. Similarly, Cheglov 2015 saw how talk is sequentially organized. Conversation analysis identifies structures like adjacency pair, for example. A question requires an answer and repair mechanism where participants fix misunderstanding. Together, these theories emphasize that interaction is patterned and systematic, not random. For the number three is critical and functional approach. Panji 2015 explains that critical discourse analysis examine how discourse reproduce ideologies, especially those related to power and inequality. He argues that discursive choices such as lexical selection, metaphors, and framing shape public opinion and maintain dominance. In contrast, Biber and Conrad 2015 apply systematic functional linguistics to highlight how language varies by register and genre. Register reflect institutional context, while gender refers to goal-oriented stage communication process such as academic article or news report. Number four is multimodal and ethnography. Chris and Van Leeuwen 2015 argue that communication is multimodal, meaning text, combine words, image, layout, and even sound to create meaning. For example, in digital discourse, design and visual elements are meaningful as written text. Hyman's 2015 complements this perspective with ethnography of communication, proposing the speaking model. This model highlights how communication must be studied with communities, taking into account setting, participants, and norms and genre. Together, these approaches stress that discourse cannot be separated from the culture and semiotic resources through which it is produced. And number five is corpus and transcription. Stubbs 2015 saw that corpus assistant discourse studies identifying recurring lexical pattern, collocation, and keyword that reveal how language constructs meaning across large datasets. Weber et al. 2015 expand this through register variation studies, showing how corpus methods support quantitative interpretation. And finally, transcription itself is not natural. Love and Health and Hat 2015 demonstrate how transcription choices foreground certain aspects, like gesture, intonation, or pauses, while backgrounding others. Jefferson detailed transcription convention in conversation analysis highlight this, reminding us that data representation always shapes the analysis. For the next, there is a study by Lestari, Tayyip, and Said 2024 entitled Beyond K-pop, a Discord analysis on ELT research, article by Korean author analyze how Korean scholars write English language research article in the field of ELT. Using a genre-based Discord analysis, the researchers examine both the energetic structure, like IMRAD, introduction, method, result, and discussion. And the rhetorical structure like functions, cohesion, and coherence. The findings showed that the article followed international research writing standards while reflecting Korean academic tradition that emphasize empirical evidence, clarity, and formal language. Overall, the study concluded that Korean academic writing adapt to global conventions but maintains cultural values of professionalism, respect, and objectivity. Okay, for the next material is methodology.
Okay, next material is about methodology. So, as applying a qualitative approach, discourse study examine how the language is used in real context to construct the meaning, relationship, and social realities. So, G 2014 described the discourse analysis as the study of language in use. This means we don't only look at grammar or structure, but also at the social purpose of the language, how it's used to influence the text, to show the power, or to express identity. So there are the types of analysis in discourse studies. Discourse study includes several different approaches, each with its own focus. The first one, conversation analysis or CA. This looks closely at everyday tool things like turn taking, pauses, overlaps, or self-correction. For example, in a classroom, when a student hesitates before answering, those pauses can actually show their thinking process. Next is CDA, or critical discourse analysis. Examine the connection between the language, power, and ideology. For instance, how the media talks about immigrants, or how the education policies are framed using the certain words that reflect the ideology. Next is pragmatics-based analysis. So this approach focuses on meaning in context, speech act, politeness, and implicators. For example, if a teacher says, "It's a bit noisy here, isn't it?" the real meaning is not just an observation, but actually asking the students to be quiet. Next is gender analysis. So Swells 1890 developed 1990 developed this to study the structure of text in academic or professional settings. For example, the research article usually follow the structure of introduction, method, result, and discussion. So by using gender analysis, we can help the student learn how to write academically. Next is narrative analysis. Risman 2008 explained this as studying personal stories to understand how the people build their identities. For instance, when students share stories about their struggles in learning English, they may show themselves as struggling learners or motivated researchers. Next is about research procedures. In practice, discourse research collect from the interview, written narratives, document, or classroom recordings. Then the data is transcribed, sometimes even including the pauses, laughter, or intonation, and coded for analysis. Next is about data analysis. Researchers then look for linguistic or thematic patterns and interpret them within a social and cultural context as cited by Van Dyke 2008. For example, conversation analysis can show how students take turns in group discussion. Critical discourse analysis can reveal whether the textbook presents cultures neutrally or with bias. Genre analysis can support teaching academic writing, and narrative analysis can help us to understand the students' learning experiences outside the classroom. So, this course study gives us a wider lens to see the language not just the grammar, but also the social practice. So, through these approaches, we can understand how the language is used to build the meaning, relationship, identity, and ideology. So in ELT, this means we can explore how the students construct their identities as English users, how classroom talk affect learning, and how academic genre are taught. In short, discourse studies helps us see language as something alive, dynamic, and socially meaningful. Next, please.
And for the next is a discourse study example. The research detail unraveling the language and ideology, a critical discourse analysis of Mendikbud Ristek number 30 year 2021 in Republika newspaper by Rina Rosdiana, Sandy Budiana, and Trimaryani investigate how the ideological construction of Mendikbud Ristek number 30 2021 about the prevention and handling of sexual violence in higher education, and it's represented in the newspaper Republika. And Republika is known for the Islamic ideological stance newspaper. So the study focuses on how stakeholders' reaction to the regulation were framed within this perspective. And this research is used critical discourse analysis with fair law three-dimensional framework. There is a text analysis that examines linguistic features such as word choice, tone, and modality. Discourse practice, analyzing how Republica produces and circulates information through news, editorials, and opinion pieces. Sociocultural practice, it's linking the discourse to wider cultural and religious contexts, especially Islamic values. And the finding shows that the language is used as a tool to shape public opinion on sensitive issues such as sexual violence in higher education. And about 92% of the article expressed the negative views toward regulation and portraying it as a conflicting with moral and religious values, which led to resistance. And the study also highlight how discourse reflect power relation between the state and religious institution. But moreover, the newspaper discourse actively contributes to debates on morality and consent and also educational policy in Indonesia. And next point is about discussion will be explained by Zikri, please.
So, based on the chosen example, we can understand that discourse studies can examine whether the language used in the discourse contains certain ideology and influences people's opinions towards certain issues. The discourse studies are able to provide proof that news likely promotes its author or agent's beliefs that are packed in seemingly neutral language. Also, discourse studies have enriched the variety of methods in qualitative research. Discourse studies support the ontological position of qualitative research that sees reality as a subjective thing, depending on how each subject is constructed socially. And just like the other methods, discourse studies also come with its strengths and weaknesses. The strength is that discourse studies do not only focus on language and linguistics, but also on wide multidisciplinary subjects such as psychology and sociology. In addition, approaches like CDA link discourse study to power and ideology and social change, so it can promote linguistics to the surface. However, discourse studies also have weaknesses, such as bias and objectivity concerns, and also some of the frameworks like Halliday's systemic functional linguistics are difficult to do in a full application. Right, please. So we have come to the conclusion. We can conclude that discourse studies show that language shapes reality, identity, and power. Methods like CDA and CA can uncover hidden meanings and ideologies in communication. The main contribution to qualitative research is linking language to social structures, offering deeper insights into how communication influences society. While challenges such as bias and complexity remain, discourse studies provide strong value for understanding language in context. Future research should include multimodal analysis, larger corpora, and studies across cultures and online spaces to capture the evolving nature of communication. And now I'll give it back to Anissa.
Okay, thank you, Dikri, and for all the presenters. So that's the explanation about the discourse study, and this is our references. Thank you very much. I hope this presentation is insightful and meaningful. And I'm sorry for if I make mistake. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.